What is going on, everyone? This is Eric coming at you from just outside of Hartford, Connecticut. And today we are going to discuss the Tim Tebow draft pick trade, and this occurred during the 2010 NFL Draft. So real quick little insight on Tebow. Tebow was a very polarizing quarterback in college. Obviously, he played at Florida, and he was seen as like a great team player. But a lot of scouts watched him and said, this guy doesn't have the real potential to be a franchise guy in the NFL. If anything, he'll be a guy you want to have to run the Wildcat with. But he's more of a QB2, a guy that comes in every other play, every other drive, I should say, and does a couple quick throws or a couple runs, like a Taysom Hill before Taysom Hill broke out in 2020. So there were a lot of people, too, who said, Tim Tebow, you just got to fix a couple kinks with his throwing mechanics, and he could be a franchise-saving quarterback. So the Broncos were one of the teams that saw him as a potential franchise-saving player. So they would trade back up into the first round, sending 3 picks to the Baltimore Ravens in exchange for the 25th overall selection. Now, with that 25th pick, obviously the Broncos would select quarterback Tim Tebow, and Tebow was a backup as a rookie before taking over and starting the last 3 games of the 2010 season. Now, he would take the starting role in Week 5 of the 2011 season, and he was known as the comeback kid to an extent. But he would start to struggle a lot with fumbles and just a bad completion percentage. The guy couldn't throw that well. He ends up getting traded after the Broncos end up signing Peyton Manning. So all in all, he didn't do what people had hoped. Now, they would trade Tebow along with a 7th round pick in 2012 to the New York Jets in exchange for a pair of picks in the 2012 draft, their 4th and their 6th. So with the 4th round pick would be the 108th, and they would select center Philip Blake. So Philip Blake spent 1 year in Denver as a backup, but he was always inactive. He never played, and then he gets cut. Now, the 188th selection they would use on linebacker Danny Trevathan, and this one was a hit. So he was a backup as a rookie, but he took a huge step forward in 2013, starting all 16 games for the team. Now, in 2014, he would deal with various injuries, which slowed him down, obviously. And he had a strong season in 2015, but he made his name known after leaving the team following the 2015 season, going to Chicago. Still, I give a lot of credit to Denver for picking Trevathan there. Now, Baltimore got 3 picks in exchange for Tebow's pick. How did they do with their 3 picks? So the 43rd pick would be used on linebacker Sergio Kindle. And he's a very interesting story. So he had first-round talent, but he fell due to some concerns. And then, ironically enough, when I say fell, that goes into what happens with his NFL career. So before he even signs a deal with the Ravens, he ends up falling down the stairs at his home, and he fractures his skull in the process, which obviously rules him out for the 2010 season, his rookie year. And when he comes back, he just isn't that good, and he appears in 3 games over a half season before getting cut. So a lot of what ifs with him. Just a very interesting story. Definitely look him up, Sergio Kindle. It's just a very sad story. A lot of potential, and he fell down the stairs, and it all but ended his career. Had he signed the contract beforehand, it would have helped him out a lot. But with the 70th pick, they would select tight end Ed Dickson, and he would spend the first year as a backup, and then he ends up taking over as a tight end 1 in his second year, 2011. And he becomes a blocking tight end, kind of a secondary role, during the Super Bowl winning season in 2012. And then he's a starter again in 2013, but this was due to the other starter, who we'll get to in a second, getting injured, and then he would walk after his 4th season, after his rookie contract was up. Lastly, we have the 114th pick, which they would use to select tight end Dennis Pitta. And Pitta would spend 7 years in Baltimore. Now, he was mostly a backup, but he did have a couple solid years as a starter, and he would really deal with a lot of injuries at some points in his career, like I had mentioned in 2013. But, the 2 of them were solid, Dickson and Pitta. They're both solid tight ends. So lastly, we have the New York Jets, and we'll start with that 2012 7th round pick. It would be the 232nd pick. It gets traded. It's not worth discussing. So obviously the big name was Tim Tebow. So how did Tim Tebow do? He spent 1 year as a backup in New York, did next to nothing, and ends up getting cut. So, yeah, Tim Tebow's career unfortunately never panned out for either Denver or New York. He ends up spending some time in Philadelphia and New England, but never really does much. Doesn't get a Super Bowl ring for either team. And now he's playing in the New York Mets organization in baseball. So that was the Tim Tebow trade breakdown. Hope you guys enjoyed this. Have a good rest of your day.